It is Monday, July the 1st, 2024. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and the Kerr County Commissioners Court is in session for a workshop. Let me start by saying workshop, we do not take public input. This is a working meeting for us, and we have some time constraints today that need to be honored. We're going to have to end the meeting today by 10:30. We'll have to resume. We're not going to be able to get to everything that is on the agenda, but those are the constraints that we have. And there have been special requests as to what order to take the items in. And the one request is to take the animal control facility first. We've got Peter Lewis here for that today. And then we also, the request to go second would be the office space needs, which is, and I understand that's about an hour long.
Could be.
Well, that's,
Might not be.
I'm just giving everybody a heads up of where we're going with this workshop this morning. If that's okay with the court, then we'll take it in that order. If it's not, I need to hear it now.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Begin.
So there will be no precincts 1, 2, 3, and 4 reports today. This is just a workshop. So with that, let's call a review of the new Kerr County Animal Services Facility. And I understand we brought a consultant in to brief us on that today.
I'll start us, and then Peter has.
Is that one of these handouts?
I don't know.
I didn't do a handout. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Kind of where we are, and there's been a lot in the press about this. I want to clear some things up. When we put that out for, the original bond proposal, a local contractor, and I'm not going to use his name, he's very reputable, came up with the cost estimate of what it would do. After the bond passed, we went, we being KPA, members of the court, and architect Reagan, went to primarily the Escosa facility. And a lot of the details were decided based on what was seen at that facility and the recommendation of their control officer. Originally, a lot of kennels, I made a comment, it wasn't exactly accurate. There was a number for kennels in the original number, it was $40,000. However, when we went in and looked at what everyone recommended we get, that cost us $400,000 based on the one proposal. And they're stainless steel, they'll last a long, long time. Also, a recommendation was made after that facility to change the concrete floor slightly, put a curve around it. I think I mentioned that last time, put an epoxy on it as opposed to a regular sealer. All those things, drive up the cost, you take that, add on inflation, and you get to where we are today, where we are over budget. And what I was hoping to do today, there's my feeling, and I think Commissioner Overruns was, and we've been meeting with Peter Lewis, the architect, was that it's far more important to get the footprint of the building right than some of the interior items right. Because once, if we don't have that footprint right, based on experience, I think you can look at what Mr. Pace is going to talk about the ag barn. We don't have a real good record of adding things later and taking and really, adding a little bit of square footage here or there. But to me, it's better to get the building footprint right, and if we need to cut in some areas, we cut on the interior things that we can add later. So that's kind of my philosophy. That's mine, and over it a little bit. If the idea if the court wants to cut square footage, that can be done. There's no question, and that will lower the cost because it's very expensive building. So that's kind of where we are. But Peter there's a floor plan there. Peter, I guess the main thing is it's kind of a long way for us to see up here, but
I can relocate it.
probably if you could bring it up there, because this is really, we have it available for the public to look at.
I didn't get the request up here until late Friday, so I did not have time to get PowerPoint. So this is old school. This is an analog PowerPoint.
But I guess if you could point out that.
Well, just a second.
Is that the way they used to do it? Because I wouldn't know.
This is how we always have done it.
The main thing, the building is exactly basically as it was on the bond, shows us where the areas are good, Peter, where the additional square footage.
Sure. Well, the building, and we worked hard to contain the design within the original square footage. And this is not, the footprint is a slightly different footprint, but the overall area is, was increased from the original bond issue by about approximately 1,644 square feet. And, but it contains all of the elements that were illustrated in the bond and that were approved with the bond issue.
And remind us what the original square footage was.
The original square footage was 14,329. And so we increased that by 1,644, and if you don't mind doing the math there.
And the 1644 was for what?
The six-
He's an outline.
Yeah, and the 1644, and I put together a summary that I've shared with Jonathan and Commissioner Overby. The kennels were increased, this area was increased by 125 square feet. And we added, because we did some additional work up here at the front, we've got an evaluation room, janitor, some things that weren't here originally. We had a small office originally, but they've grown. So that grew by 125 square feet. Originally, we had euthanasia and the storage that goes, the refrigerated storage or frozen storage that goes associated with that inside the footprint of the building. On our last trip down to Atascosa, and they provided a good template and a good guide for what we're doing. They have a very successful facility that has had about 4 or 5 years now worth of operational history. And they counseled that we need to get euthanasia out of the building as well as the locker storage. And that is what we've done back here. That increased, that was an additional 652 square feet. The animal control officer and cats grew by 351 square feet. Part of that is we have a pretty large mechanical room that is inside the footprint of the building. We grew some things like the friendly cats area. Some of the areas just grew incrementally. On the animal control officer's side, it grew slightly. We've got 2 deputies. We have 5 animal control officers, a director and admin. We added a bathroom. We originally had 1 bathroom and a shower, and it was suggested that we added an additional one, either for men and women or just to have an additional one for use. But
Comment into
Sure.
that extra bathroom also. Animal control officers go out. There are things called skunks in our area. There's other things you can get very dirty. And I think Reagan and Henry down in Atascosa strongly recommended we have a place for a small shower where they can get clean and things of that nature. But do they have to have a shower? No, but certainly if
so
it's not
both-
done now, we can get added later.
And so both of these they're identical footprints, they're mirror image of each other. That increased this area increased by 351 square feet. And then the admin area, which is admin, lobby, food storage, and laundry, grew by 516 square feet. The food storage became significantly larger, the laundry became larger. The reception area, we worked hard to constrain it, but then we ended up having an adoption, just some spaces that grew. So the total, again, that adds up to 1,644 square feet.
And the Sally ports were enlarged too.
And the Sally ports were enlarged, and in terms of that's the budget, and that's not included in the interior square footage, but that impacted the budget. So the Sally ports were, and I don't have the exact square footage. I do on another document, but I don't have that with me. So, but they were increased. Sally ports.
Yeah.
The Sally ports are where vehicles can come in and drop off animals in a contained area, in a enclosed fenced area with overhead doors and or operable personnel gates, so that a vehicle can pull in there, they can close the gates, and an animal can be taken out into the building. If it gets out, it's contained in that area. And so the dogs increased significantly for longer vehicles. The original one accommodated a pickup truck, but not a lot of circulation, and a large pickup truck, but not a lot of circulation area. And the cat Sally port grew incrementally as well. The other thing that impacted the budget was inflation. And so the original budget was done, and that was published in January of 2022. And during the course of the last couple of months, as we've been working through our construction drawings, well, let me back up. Another thing that impacted this was the timeline, which impacted the inflation timeline, because we are required by FEMA to request and receive a letter of flood map revision. And so this site is in a flood area. The building was placed originally and still is placed outside of that flood area, but all of the property inside of the rest of the 16 acres needed to be managed. There's a lot of storm drainage structures. Furthermore, we were originally going to have the road out to the primary road to this facility out to 27, and because of, well, for a number of reasons, the road now extends down to Spur 100, which is a longer road, more utilities, but it is, well, it's a longer road, but it does not require a request to tech stop for an additional highway cut. So there were some good reasons to do it. The inflation, when this bond was published in January of 2022, I consulted, when we did the original budget for this, I had a general contractor who was not going to be interested in bidding this job, a general contractor, a local general contractor, help us with the budget. So that was the number that was the budget number that established the bond issue number for that original facility. Some months back, I recruited another semi-retired general contractor who was actually used to work for Hughes Construction and did all of their bidding, and helped me with an updated budget based on these and this footprint here. And when we got that number, we determined that we needed to consider areas where we can find cost savings. And so we went about doing that, and again came up with a number of things that we identified, things that increased the cost from that time, and one of those was that inflation index, and it was at the end of the day, it was in 29 months, it was 17% inflation. It was 0.583 a month. There was more intense inflation in 2022. The inflation has slowed down some now, but the average. And so we tested that number. We didn't make that number up. We went online and looked at what the online sources said, but our local contractors were a better resource for that. And talked to Steve Hughes, who is now a retired general contractor, but still retains a lot of that history in his mind, and felt good about that inflation number. So that resulted, the square foot increase and the inflation increase added about $1,298,966 in budget numbers. And that's a budget. That's not a hard bid, but it does reflect a general contractor going out and asking subcontractors and using their experience to come up with this updated budget. We began to look at a number of ways to save costs, and you want me to go into?
Why don't you just go to the next, other drawings? I think it's easier to see
Okay.
some of those items anyway.
Thank you. So,
Before you even go to that, just to make a general comment here, these are two metal buildings. I mean, these are not fancy buildings. They're two metal buildings that are joined by a conventional construction.
well, it's also steel frame.
Yeah, but it's pretty basic. It's not a stick-built elaborate building. Two metal buildings, and then the middle is joined with a reception area.
And they are pre-engineered metal buildings. We felt that given, and they are fully sprinklered for fire protection, but all the interior construction is non-combustible. We felt that was an appropriate construction method, as well as in terms of a timely way to construct a building. They're metal building with metal siding, a metal roof. We originally had shown maybe a little bit of masonry at the front entrance, but we've scaled back on that. The only masonry on the site right now is actually at the project sign that is out at Spur 100, which is very much like the airport, Kirk County, the airport sign out there on the highway. All of this is a single story, so we have some elevated storage back in the kennels area. It's platform storage above the isolation and the
Quarantine.
Thank you. Isolation and quarantine areas. It's platform storage. It's accessed by a ladder, but it's not accessed to the general population. So all this, and I should say, as we would on any facility, public or private, it's all fully accessible to the public. Where the public is, all of the facilities are accessible in terms of circulation, access, etc. Yada yada. So, and don't quote me on that. So the what we wanted to do on the buildings themselves was do practice a little architecture, a little design to make them a little bit different than just metal buildings clad in metal siding. So on the kennel side, we did one thing is we raised a cupola clear store, which is bringing a lot of natural light in for the and originally it was for the full length of the building. As the design developed, it is actually does not include the area back here, which was over the quarantine and isolation area, but it's all over the kennels there. So it brings natural light in, and it provides a little design.
And to go with this, a conventional roof, get rid of that cupola in the middle with the
Right.
clear windows outside, saves $33,000.
Well, and again, budget. It may be more when it goes out to the market. Then on this
Hold
low.
on a second, you're talking about getting
That little,
on top, that
yeah, that part,
center ridge?
yeah, you get rid of that,
Yeah, let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
yeah. But it also, you lose light.
Yeah, so natural light has several, it's valued for several reasons. One is the health, general health of the animals and the occupants of the building. It is also natural light during the day, which means that on most of the days of the year here in Kirk County, you don't need to turn the lights on. At night, obviously, you do when, but
But it is a savings, and that's one of the ones that I recommended, but it's, you know.
on the animal control officer side, and the cat side, the cat house side, if you're familiar with, if any of you have been out to Ingram and the Hill Country Telephone Cooperative, I'm sorry, I take that back, to the Ingram High School Gymnasium. We designed that building many years ago, and we brought the structure for the pre-engineered metal building structure or frame outside of the siding. So it just gives it a little bit of different. The cost of that is nominal, and it makes it a little more than just a metal building, a box, a store, making it look like a storage building. And then the central section is conventionally steel framed. We sort of based on, for a couple things, based on our experience at Scotia and our impression of that facility. They have a real nice lobby front entry area, and we decided we would do something like that. We've got a raised roof there that's got clear story light on the north side, which would bring light into the lobby area. And that is one of the cost savings that we've suggested that we could do.
It's another $38,000.
Yeah. Is remove that, just go to a flat roof, come and put a porch on the front and simplify that. So,
The other thing that is, and it was in the bond issue that we're gonna use rainwater harvesting, but it drives the cost up a lot.
right.
Because all that, I mean, to run basically on the terrain of the land, a lot of the pipes have to be run under the building, and then all of that. But this facility uses a lot of water, and with the water concerns, I feel pretty strongly that we should stay with the rainwater harvesting. We're hopeful to get a grant from UGRA to cover a large portion of that.
And staff is working on that now. We've been working with the UGRA for over a year now, and Tara Bushnell there, the general manager, has been very supportive.
30,
The storage?
30,000, there's two of them, 130,000. I think 130 and one's relatively small on the upper side, it's not much to do.
Yeah, I think it is 30. We've got not unlike the ones that are out at the ag barn.
Yeah.
But this one, and then so the interior of the kennel area is
60,000 at the ag barn, two of them.
right.
This is just one.
Yeah.
The interior plumbing is, we duplicate, well, it's got some additional plumbing because we propose to use that rainwater storage for wash down in the kennel area, so we're not using domestic water and using public water. And we also, there's a smaller tank that will be outside of the animal control officer side that would be used for irrigation of the landscaping that would be at the front entrance.
Which is minimal
It's
landscape.
just minimal landscaping. But as Jonathan suggested, we're capturing water on the backside of the kennel building, bringing it under the slab to feed this rainwater storage tank, and then off of the eaves and with gutters on this side of the building. So that, yeah, deleting that, the grant would offset the cost of that.
Most of it.
Most of it, yeah.
We're pretty close to getting that.
Yeah.
I'm concerned that 30,000 may not be enough. You're gonna use a lot more. I'm in the process of putting in a 30,000 gallon tank, rainwater harvesting for my domestic use. And that's far less than what you're gonna use here. And that's what I'm told I need.
So we want to pursue that on a number of fronts. We think it's a good idea. I think it's a good use of not use domestic water for washing the kennels, and staff and Reagan's staff agreed that's acceptable to use.
And a big number that I've talked about, and I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to local press, but evidently it's been a hot topic on local press about kennels and the cost of the kennels and why kennels aren't included in the bond. Kennels were in it, minimal, but
We had containment.
we had containment in there, and that can be done within the bond issue now. But Reagan, I mean, everybody, including KPA, who went and was very involved with a lot of the selection ideas and talking about a lot of this stuff, everyone thinks that we need to go with a better kennel, and that's something that can certainly be changed. It's going to be, regardless of what kind of kennels go in there, it's not part of the building. I mean, building's built and you add the kennels in later. So what those kennels look like don't have to be the ones that everyone agreed to.
In the last couple of months, we've been working with one vendor who does kennel equipment, and we're in the process of doing that. They helped us to develop what an ideal equipment layout would be in all areas of the building that have to do with veterinary science equipment and kennel storage equipment. And so the cages, the stainless steel cages, they have a locking mechanism, a lot of safety things. And again, as Jonathan pointed out, when we went down to Ascosa, they indicated a number of other things that they recommended, which we've incorporated here. We have gates at all these overhead doors. So when the doors are open, there are gates in place, and the animal gets out inside the kennel area, they're contained. And then we have outside yards as well, another level of containment. And then we also have site fencing, perimeter fencing. So additional cost savings that we talked about was we're doing chip seal, we're doing county roads inside the building, and we've talked about possibly, we were all in agreement this was a possible about $200,000 worth of chip seal paving that the county would do with their road and bridge department. That the site perimeter fencing is about a $56,000 cost, might be done by Kirk County Maintenance. I'm looking at the big things. So right now this has the lead rainwater collection distribution. It's got 40,000. That discounts the tanks. The tanks are the total cost of that would be, I believe, more than that. We've got an emergency generator in here the emergency generator we had suggested as a possibility, but it really needs some kind of emergency power needs to be provided, whether it's for the full facility or for the kennels and the cat kennels. And so that may or may not be an option, but we identified costs that, what did I have here?
Is that on the hospital grid?
Yes, it is, right now.
Right now it is.
What does that mean?
That grade could change.
We've been told that in the future that grid could change. This building may not be on that forever. But our word was, don't count on it being there forever, but it's there right now.
So that would offset not having a large generator, an all-facility generator when the project is open, because it would be protected.
But at the same time, it's being electrically done so you can add a generator. Yeah. It's not a whole lot. And I think the main thing, purpose in my mind today is that, yes, this is going to be over budget. That's clear. unless the bids come in a lot lower. And the question to the court is, we cut out about, was that $200,000 worth of catering that you and I and Ann talked about a little bit, get rid of the clear story.
Well, yeah, the paving shifts, I mean, it still needs to be accounted for, that's 200,000 right there.
Right.
So
Road and Bridge can come up with a number of the material costs.
it was $1.2 million, I want to say that we were able to, $1.3 million, that we were able to almost offset that inflation.
But a lot of that will have to be done, not, obviously the clear story part of the front cupola doesn't have to be done, but the perimeter fencing, some of that, at some point has to get done. So it doesn't have to be done immediately, but we don't want animals loose and running around and getting over to the highway in other areas. So to me, the question is, do we shrink the building some, which would be a problem from the standpoint of having to redesign, and it'll delay it even further, and inflation will get even worse. Or do we put it out for bid as is and see where we come in? I think it's going to be, not counting the furnishing, any of the furnishing, 5.8, 5.9, somewhere there.
And the modifications to the building shell that we described earlier, how we will package those in our bid documents will be as alternates. So we're going to publish, when we go out to bid, it is our recommendation to publish it, the design as it stands now, but have these bid alternates that the bidders can tell us what they're worth. Yeah, right. And we'll have a couple of those. At least the two that would be reduced to remove the cupola and go to some translucent panels and the plane of the field of the roof, and then remove this canopy here and go to just a covered porch at the front of the building. And we will have drawings that will describe those, that will illustrate those in the bid set. But again, let the bidders out there. We think this is a large enough project. We really think that this will get a lot of interest. It is out of the San Antonio area, out of the Austin area, perhaps. So we're not seeing a lot of activity right now out there. And this is a pretty healthy project.
What was the original bond?
This part was 5.75.
And you're looking at what now?
5.9, but that doesn't count a lot of, and that's probably a little bit high, but I'd rather be a little bit high. It could come in, I mean, we don't know. Until you put it for bid, you don't know. But there's at least, depending on what you do with kennels and some of the interior and furnishings and freezers and all that stuff, it's somewhere between 500 and 800,000. I mean, it depends, maybe 400 to 800,000. It's going to be a decision for the court to make on the exact type of kennels and some of that stuff. And that's where it is. But I think, part of that is why I asked the judge to put this and Mr. Pace's items first, is because these construction items, in my mind, we need to consider a CO, pay for them and put it out over a 5-7 year period. Because we could probably come out of, some of these funds we come out of the general fund.
Incremental cost that you need.
Yeah.
For the CO.
Right. CO would be
So we've
this.
already got the bond, we're sitting on the money.
Right. And then turn over to Mr. Pace on some of the ideas that he has, some additional money that, and I think you add his stuff and this stuff together, it's more than we want to put out of the general fund, or we can afford to take out of the general fund. So we're looking at a CO short term to bridge the gap. I know there's been criticism that we're over budget on this, but it's reality. So let's not try to throw rocks. Let's try to figure out how to fix the problem.
Well, let's see if I can summarize this in my head. We've got a bond at 5.25 million.
5.75, 5 3/4.
5 3/4. And we're expecting cost overruns of,
On the building itself, 150 to 200,000,
and what about kennels?
and all that's another 500 to 600,000 between that and the other, the furnishings, all the stuff that goes inside.
So, bottom line, what are we looking at?
$1 million, it sounded like, and all said and done.
Probably a little bit less, but probably better to be, have more than.
And the
$1
bond
million
issue,
over 900 or.
Yeah.
and the bond issue included rainwater storage, emergency generator, and 8 professional services fees
In the original.
in the original bond issue. And the total professional services fees are less than what the bond issue had. So there's a little flex that's inside that number, but it's still the 575 is a static number.
I mean, I can only speak for one voter, but I think most voters would look at the dollar amount and that you're getting an animal control shelter and not worry about what all we're getting for that.
Right.
So, whether it was in the original scope or not, the amount is very important.
Well,
My thoughts is, go ahead, Jeff.
I just want to summarize and so that the public understands. We're talking in the neighborhood of $1 million cost overrun, including kennels.
Including everything.
Okay. And then and the thought is to finance that with certificate of obligation.
Yeah. That would be my
I
recommendation.
understand the recommendation.
My
Anything
thoughts
else?
are, we settle on a price, what we're willing to spend. I understand the inflation and all that kind of stuff, but for the taxpayer out there, good grief, this is costly. Here's the dollar amount we'll give. Now, you guys on Reagan's committee and everybody, what do you need to cut out of that or add to it to make it work? This is what you get to spend. That's what you do with your home budget. You can't afford things, you cut things out. Prioritize these things and make it fit into whatever dollar amount would say. That's my 2 cents.
To cut it that much will delay it 6 months. It's gonna be a total redesign of the building. And by that time, you have inflation.
Depends on the recommendations.
I mean, I don't know how you can cut $1 million out. I mean, a lot of it, the interior stuff is, $600,000. And we've cut quite a bit.
But what we're going to be asked to make a decision on for a regular session is whether or not to approve adding $1 million to the animal services facility, or postponing, redesigning, and coming back in 6 months to a year.
Or the other option, there is another option, Judge. We can go with much less expensive kennels. Kennels are the biggest component of that amount. Go with the least expensive kennels that will meet state requirements, and which will probably get the cost overage to probably $300,000-400,000. And that decision really doesn't have to be made totally until we get the bids back, because we don't know what the bids are going to be.
Well, but the rate limiting step right now is, when are we going to get these plans out for bid?
We're ready to get them out next month.
Which is July.
And so, how
End
much,
of July.
End of July.
how much cost engineering can we do between now and when the bids go out?
In terms of changing the drawings, not a lot.
Okay.
And we can't do anything with the site. The site is what it's going to be, because that's driven by the floodplain issues. The building itself, we've recommended, we recommended minor, I'd say minor in the overall context, bring euthanasia back into the building, things like that, instead of having,
Separate building outside?
separate building outside.
600 square feet out.
Take that, bring that back. That's 30 or 40. Conservatively, that's 30,000. It may be more. We're building a foundation out there. It's conditioned space. It's got all of the things that are required. It's an extension of the roof. These changes here to take the cupola out and to modify this the admin, the public space. Maybe 70 to 100,000 total.
But even if we're talking about modifying these plans, and I'm pointing to the existing plans, if we modify them,
It's
the
gonna.
cost engineer it, how much is that going to slow us down?
Well, that's what what I just described is in our plan right now to
Okay.
publish this month.
So we put that out for bid.
Yes, sir. And we need to. To read. And again, we've worked closely with staff, with Reagan and his staff. We work with commissioners and things like we can't reduce the number of animal control officers. We can't. They're just things that just don't happen. We have a community meeting room here, which is also serves staff as well as other public opportunities. Kerrville Pets Alive can meet there, that kind of thing. If we reduce the number of kennels, I know the long-term plan is to not have the need for as many kennels because we've trained the public to spay and neuter, et cetera, but
Okay, so the public understands the two variables we're talking about are time and money.
yes, it's age-old variables.
And we're gonna have to make a decision on that soon.
Right. And the quality, this is a quality facility, but it's not a Taj Mahal, it's not gilded.
We understand. Any other questions?
I just have a general question. It's probably that Tanya or Heather really more. If we do a CO, does the anticipated expenditures from that CO have to be in the budget? Or can we postpone that CO until we get, some kind of figure out where this comes in on the bid and do the CO October, November, or sometime after this budget's finalized? I think we can do it after we do the CO anytime during the year.
We can do the CO anytime during the year. You can pass the resolution that there's costs that'll be spent that we're gonna reimburse with the CO, but I would think you would need to put something in the budget for the anticipated cost of the CO.
Okay,
I just have to point out that there is another alternative. It'd save a lot of money, but it may not be acceptable at all. And I'm not gonna get into the details.
Yeah.
I just ask that you look at it.
We look up.
You already have?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It won't work.
That's what I figured.
So the interest so far that's earned during this time on those bond funds has been almost 200,000.
How much?
Just thought I'd throw that out there, 200,000.
That's good, because that at least gets the building within the bondish, the reduced scope building within the bond, doesn't solve the interior issue.
and thank you for the presentation to the board. I
Thank
think
you for your
this
time.
clearly defines the dilemma that we're confronted with. And we have to make a decision.
Better to hear it first than read about it in the paper.
Absolutely. You know how I feel about surprises.
All right, thanks, Peter.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
You bet.
Okay. Well, I know everybody's thrilled to death with the additional monies we're looking at possibly having to spend, so let's just fly right into the next one. And this would be our office space needs.
Okay, so next one, Charles. Just as a little bit of background, as a result of the Commissioners Court workshop that was held back on February 5th this year, we formed a committee to look into office and storage space issues and come back to the court to make recommendations. You can see the names of all the members of the team. Obviously, the IT members have changed quite a bit. But anyway, we're glad to have Corey now working with us. So with that, next please. In terms of the needs that are being addressed, we've considered storage needs, IT needs, the tax office, which is related to IT on a more longer term basis, conference and meeting rooms, the ag barn, and then one that was kind of new to us, the sheriff's office. He's requiring some additional area. So we'll talk about all this stuff in detail. Next, please. So on storage, the reality is nobody's really come forward with any significant storage issues. So I'm not trying to fix anything if it's not a problem, but we do have good, viable solutions. There's plenty of room at the juvenile detention facilities, lots of unutilized space there, and ultimately I suspect there will be significant storage space at the West Kerr Annex.
Before we get away from that, Rich, when the CIP was working on this, one of the things we learned is if we try to use the juvenile detention facility for storage, we have to put in a new sprinkler system because we're going to have all those flammable papers there.
It's already being used for storage.
Well, but if we're going to dedicate it to that, then the fire department's going to come take a look at it.
I would have thought it already had fire suppression, considering they had juveniles.
That was That was for human occupancy, not storage. Just putting it out there. We dealt with it.
All right, we'll move on to the next one is the IT short-term fix. And I think anybody that's ever visited the IT offices would agree that they need more space. They're extremely crowded. So we came up with a short-term fix, and the proposed solution was to relocate a portion of the tax office. It's kind of an area behind Bob's office where he's got a meeting room and a storage area, and to move that portion, which is about 300 square foot, give the back portion to IT, and then Bob is going to utilize the old treasurer's office, which is 750 square foot down in the basement. So maintenance would extend the wall. The next slide will kind of show you a little bit more about that. And giving IT an extra 300 square foot, and the court approved that at $700. So it's a minor cost for this. And then the last court, our new IT director came in with a further recommendation to make a little bit of an office. So go ahead to the next slide. And that was adding an extra $500. This is Shane's maintenance team doing the work. So that just kind of shows you the back area, the existing IT space, and then we're close to doubling it. And the total cost of that is $1,200. So it is a short-term fix, but it will be a great improvement for the IT. And as I say, that's already approved. I just kind of wanted to highlight one of the things that's come out of the storage space and office committee. Next, please. Now, longer term, yeah, IT probably needs some additional office space. We'll see how well they get settled into the new area, but that's something we need to keep on the radar. And the tax office, Bob Reeves has been looking at relocating, and the main driver there is to reduce courthouse congestion, particularly when we have big cases that are being heard by either district court or even by our county court of law. I think Bob has looked for suitable office space to lease. Hasn't found any. And I don't know if Bob is here. That's all right. And so the options come down to a major remodeling of the 600 Earl Garrett property, which is the old church. And that was part of the original Proposition A, was to go ahead and move IT there.
Talking about the tax office.
I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. To move the tax office to 600 Earl Garrett. And obviously, we've already talked about inflation. I think the cost in Prop A was about 1.7 million. So it's probably closer to 2 million for a remodel. And then recently we've had some discussion, and you know, the reality is you don't know what you're going to get with a remodel, and that's an old building. It's not ideal. Might be better off to raise it to the ground and a complete new construction. So either way, it's probably about $2 million to do that. And again, Bob is still looking at that. I think a recent security assessment of the courthouse might give it some added momentum. We'll see. A lot more work needs to be done on that. There is no recommendation to the court at this time, or do I expect anything to be in next year's budget associated with a longer-term tax office move. But obviously, if the tax office moves out, there would be quite a bit of additional space available on the ground floor here for IT department, and it opens up other possibilities that we don't really know yet. That's something we'll deal with whenever we make a decision to actually move the tax office out. And I just added in there, Proposition A had considered enlarging the county court of law jury room. But the Honorable Judge Susan Harris has confirmed on a couple occasions that there is no need to modify her courtroom or jury room, and very few court of law cases require a 12-person jury. And the few times when it does, they use one of the district jury rooms or the entire courtroom upstairs. So that really has been no problem at all. Next, please. And we come to conference rooms, meeting rooms, and there is a clear need for that. So initially, I think Commissioner Letts had even come up with that first one, was just to simply move the printer out of the meeting room in the treasurer's suite. This is where the treasurer's group is now located. And I'm told that that printer might be a Wi-Fi sort of thing. So anyway, it's very easy to move down the hallway or into the reception area of that suite. It already has 2 doors to give access to the meeting room. And a simple thing such as putting a reservation calendar in the hallway outside and let people book that thing, you could immediately have an additional meeting room available.
That question is zero cost because I believe the treasurer would have to have put back at doors and things. Her office needs to be secured, but it needs to have a way out. So it's got to have that some door minimal cost, but
Okay.
there maybe needs to be a little bit of work to keep that off.
Maybe some different types of locks possibly.
and one-way doors, and
Okay.
but still not a whole lot of cost.
Right. Okay, and the next item there is we have an old storage room, and people might remember some of the photos of that from when the Prop A was being put out there. Yeah, there's an old meeting room. It's unfinished, totally unfinished. You see the brick in the walls. It's just got some handmade 2x4 shelves in there, and we have reams of old tax documents that are currently being stored in that place. I don't know how anybody could find anything, but I'm told that they can. So, but Bob again has graciously agreed that it's not a problem to move that material out of there and put it in the juvenile detention. And then Shane's maintenance team would finish the room, which would become a good-sized conference room down in the basement. You know, have to actually put walls in, drop ceiling, lighting. But his cost estimate is $10,000. So I think as minimum, the ask is to put $10,000 into next year's budget to get this done. And there's just one other point there is the Historic Commission has asked to relocate their office from the basement to the West Kerr Annex. That's been looked at. There's no issue with doing it. It's just a matter of timing, and if the court wants to do that, they have assured us that they will move everything out of there at their cost, no manpower required. So the point is that would then make another office room available in the basement. I don't have a specific plan for what we would do with it.
How much room that is?
Who?
The,
More than what they have. It's pretty small.
Sure.
But there is a suitable room out there in the annex. Okay, we'll move on then. It brings us to the ag barn. This was Proposition B, the public will remember. And it needs a lot of work, no doubt. It's been neglected for a long time. The entire roof needs to be replaced. I mean, the steel structure is perfectly fine. There is no issue whatsoever with the steel support beams and so forth. But the roof needs to be replaced. It's not really leaking right now. We had a hailstorm a few years back, and under that insurance program, we got quite a bit of work done to where at least the roof doesn't leak. But we had a roofing contractor get up there and look at it, and he has said, yeah, it's definitely at its end of life, and it's time just to replace it. So that's that, and certainly the insulation is horrible, and it's already hanging, and birds get up underneath and into it. So you know, if you're going to install insulation, you certainly don't want to put it on an old roof that might have to be replaced in a year or two. So the idea is to go ahead and replace the roof and then replace all that insulation. There's some debate whether it's sprayed foam, as it indicates right there, or just there are other types of insulation like we have in the show barn. And I'm now being told that that might be a better route, and it's a little less expensive. We need to install a fire suppression system. Currently, there is no fire suppression system in the ag barn. It has a water spray system that's used for dust control, but that's all manual, and it's low pressure, and it's not to be confused with fire suppression. And we went round and around about a concrete floor, and there are pros and cons, but I think the team finally kind of concluded we've missed the boat in terms of having a good indoor rodeo arena that you might prefer dirt floors for, and it will get more utility out of concrete flooring comparable to the show barn. So we kind of agreed that we would go ahead and replace all the dirt, get the dirt out and put concrete flooring in. The lighting would need to get replaced. Those are some old lights. I think this building was constructed about 40 years ago. And anyway, Jake can't get the replacement parts for those old lights, so we would go with some new LED lights, which would be far more energy efficient. There is a need for toilets and showers and wash down areas for the show animals. We've got 4 ventilation fans on the front wall. They work, but man, they are noisy, and you can tell they're kind of on their last legs. So the idea is to go ahead and replace those. There's a loading dock in the rear, and the concrete, the base of it is gone. So it's just dirt. So it's not usable as it is, but that can be corrected for a relatively minor cost. There are a number of shed doors that are broken, need to be replaced, or better yet, we don't really need them all. Jake and I have talked about just eliminating some. We'd also recognize that the frontage could use a facelift, and we're looking at getting a corporate sponsor for that, just as we have Happy State Bank has their name up on the event center. For a nominal fee, we can allow somebody else to put their name on the front of the ag barn. Maybe not nominal, but for a fee, and a, say, 10-year period of time. That would help cover the cost of the facelift. So, next slide, please. And then there was a request for 4-H classrooms, and that was a big piece of the cost that was in the Proposition B. So what we're looking at now, and some slides will show you that they will end up with a 50 by 100 foot room, but it won't have HVAC, and they still have a lot of other options for classrooms and training in the AgriLife building where the teaching kitchen currently is. And of course they use the event center classrooms whenever they're available, which they're in there quite a bit. And of course we have an area in the River Star Park that can also be utilized. Okay, down the road, you've got the office building, that temporary modular building that is at the animal control shelter where Reagan is currently officed. We could consider moving that when it's no longer needed. I'm told it's pretty nice. I've been in there, so
It's nice, very nice.
you know, I wouldn't want it to disappear. So I think we can look at better utility for that thing whenever they have a new facility. You know, I met with 4-H advisor team and AgriLife folks, and there is a need to upgrade their teaching kitchen and possibly the space, but quite frankly, it's too late for this budget cycle. That's going to take a fair bit of work. So we acknowledge that it's got some issues, and we'll see if we can find some solutions before next year's budget. Now, there was $125,000 in the Proposition B for an emergency generator, and we kind of took the look that since we're on the grid and never really have power outages, we don't need a generator. We lived without a generator out there all these years.
Subject to change.
So I guess, yeah, subject to change, it could always be added later. And the rainwater harvesting system, I've already mentioned, we already have a large rainwater harvesting system. There are 2 60,000-gallon tanks, and I'm told the piping that goes to those tanks is 24-inch diameter, so there's an awful lot of water just stored in the pipes. At any rate, I had a conversation with Barry. 260, 60,000 tanks. Yeah. Had a conversation with Barry Wall, Rainwater Systems. He installed that. And basically he said, we don't need additional rainwater capture and the cost would far outweigh the benefit. Half of the ag barn roof already ties into the rainwater harvesting system, so that will continue. And for the cost, you don't get enough benefit by trying to put another tank in. And the big one is the utilities to get it there. So that's a $300,000 cost I don't think we need to spend.
And they could always be added later, I mean.
It could be,
I would probably,
but I wouldn't advise it.
their room that is probably better put another whole system in. Rather than trying to dig a parking lot, but anyway, I agree.
Well, even so,
Not-
you're gonna dig up something to get it to a tank. And then you've got pumps, utilities, so forth. So anyway, at this point in time, it's not in what I'm proposing. Next, please. So this just kind of shows the existing Hill Country Youth Event Center floor plan. You know, the indoor arena is a little larger than the show barn, but we hope that it'll be pretty comparable if we go ahead with the proposal. Next, please. This is just a little bit of a close-up, so you can kind of see where the washdown pens would be to the left over there. A little schematic of where the toilets and showers would be. We currently have a concrete floor in the workshop and storage area in the bottom right-hand portion of this slide. That won't change. That will just leave as is. And Jake tells me he needs the upper right-hand area. That's where they store all the pens. But we'd go ahead and concrete it. And then in between, that's that 50 by 100 foot area. Currently doesn't really get used. But anyway, we would make that available as a classroom.
Just for clarification,
Yes, sir.
is the top or the bottom of the roadside?
I'm sorry, the top is Highway 27.
Okay.
Yeah. And one thing, you know, this proposal doesn't do that Proposition B did. Proposition B expanded the indoor arena, particularly for the classrooms and so forth. Below what you would see here, there's a covered area where there are pens, and that's where the loading dock currently is. So this proposal, we're not doing anything with that other than repairing the loading dock, and that's a relatively small, I think it's $20,000 cost. So that's kind of it. But of course, again, much better ventilation, much better lighting, good insulation. And next, please. And here's the cost. And I'm pretty comfortable now with these costs. We do have bids on quite a few of these items. And then we had a general contractor go through it all with us last week, and he's weighed in on some of the figures. And as you can imagine, the cost went up a bit. The cost estimates. But basically, we're looking at $2.5 million to do everything. Any questions just on the cost?
Classroom, just going back there. Do they have HVAC?
No. There's no HVAC in the ag barn. It'll be like the show barn. But I mean, with the good insulation and good ventilation, I don't really think it's necessary. Talking with 4-H, you know, summer months, they're on the road mostly anyway. So their need goes dramatically down for classrooms during summer months, when it would be less conducive.
With that heating?
No heat.
Is there any heating in that building?
No. But, you know, we have shows all the time in the wintertime in the show barn. It's gonna be just like the show barn in terms of climate control or lack thereof. And I think we'll still get really good utilization out of it. It's not the only room that they can use, but it would be available for them. They were very excited about the opportunity for archery classes, or, you know, they've got some air rifle classes that they hold, and robotics and so forth. It's going to be a very functional area. And if need be, we could put one of those removable dividers if they wanted 2 50 by 50 classrooms instead of 1 50 by 100. So they'll get a lot of utility out of this room.
My only concern with the air conditioning, I agree that the big fans work very well.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just used to it now, but it gets darn cold in that building in the winter. And I think that heating may be something that, you know, doesn't have to be, you know, top of the line, but some sort of a heating.
Like I said, we don't have
Been
it in
in
the
the
show.
cube, 9 degrees, I remember well.
And I don't, you know, yeah.
I hear you, but
I think heaters can be added later, but I, you know, I have no idea what the heat would cost to put those affordable electric heaters that hang from the ceiling. But that's something.
it's
to look
something
at.
you can look at,
Right. Yeah.
especially if
Certainly.
you're only gonna heat that room.
Right.
But
I would certainly, if we went forward with all of this stuff, on the electrical side, I would plan for electrical heaters, even if you don't put them in electrical wise. I'd hate to do an electrical upgrade and then
Yes.
not have enough power for
Without a
electrical
doubt.
heaters. Okay.
I'm not sure if there's a gas line in the area, but,
We wish there was.
all right.
What was the price of the bond for this?
Just over 8 million.
8 million, so you've got from 8 to 2.5.
But it's not,
It's not the same.
it's not the same thing.
No,
It's
I'm just
different, but to me, it solves
It'll work.
Good work.
at least 80%, if not 90% of the problem, and it's very cost effective if we want to do it. Now, look, I'll be the first to admit, this is not a critical need. This is a very, very nice to have. I think we get a lot of benefit by having it. We get a lot of utility.
Some of
from it.
it's a critical need.
But I can't
think
tell
the roof
you
is.
what the economic impact is, and I asked Jake to come and be prepared to talk a little bit about it. Jake, please, tell us a little bit about what we might be missing, what this might bring to us if we go ahead with it.
Sure. Thanks for the time to talk today. Just, large picture stuff, with options, infrastructure, brings opportunity to the county. You guys mostly operate in things that cost taxpayers money to provide service. You have a building that provides opportunity to get revenue back, to have that economic impact. So, in doing a project like this, instead of just a $2.5 million project that sits there, it's actually to get that ROI for that taxpayer. So, a project like this, anywhere from 5 to 10 years pays itself dividends back to your tax base when you bring visitors to town. So the tourism part is a very large part of any economy. Kerrville has very robust tourism. People come here for the camps, all those things. You can look at those tax rolls. You can see the hot tax that the city collects and lets the Visitors Bureau and Parks and Rec use those funds. Every year that's, I believe, close to $2 million from people just staying in hotels that pay taxes. Those aren't your people who live here. So by doing something like this, that gives you the opportunity to have that impact. Anytime you go to another town, you're spending $120 staying in a hotel, $120 for meals. It's pretty simple to do those math things. So with a very minimal, even 5,000 people using that facility that aren't from this area, which, if for sake of the barn, we would be able to attract larger or more animal shows. Those people travel just like your travel baseball teams travel. They're going to not be from here. That economic impact for just 5,000 people is, easily $175,000 a year. So that's 10 extra events coming your way. So, and that's very minimal. That's just off the cuff, kind of doing rough numbers. That's nowhere an actual economic impact study, because you'll find out it's a lot more than that. But, that's just where I wanted to, kind of talk to. That's where this comes from as well, is, those things. And it's a very competitive industry. I compete for you guys every day, trying to get people to come to town. If I have something new to sell, if I have something that's upgraded even a little bit, people have been coming here for 40 years. They know what that barn is. And if I can resell it as something new, we can make that impact and help that for the community.
And my view is that, bond issue,
Charles, next slide. let's talk about how, lots of options on funding. And I think that first bullet point, the 670, I'll have to revise that number because my costs changed over the weekend and I didn't update that bullet. But anyway, we can do this piecemeal. Effectively somewhere on the order of 500,000 per year gets you there over 5 years. Depending, some of these items you can't really split up that easily. That's why I came up with the 670 in the first year, was to try to cover the roof, insulation, and electrical. But I think the numbers changed a little bit, so don't quote me on the 670 anymore. Otherwise, if you try to do it all, there's your different options. You could do a certificate of obligation, a tax advance note. We've had some discussions about getting some even partial funding from EIC. We can look at stakeholder fundraising. Bob came up with, we could look at a hotel occupancy tax, and he's doing a little bit of research on that, what it might be worth to us. I think it came out that grants could be available at least for the fire suppression. And you can see there that Perry and Ruby Stevens Foundation and LCRA both offer grants for fire suppression, and that was a pretty good chunk. 200,000 plus the underground utilities, a big chunk of that is associated with the fire suppression. They tie in another line to the curb of water. And of course, the bottom bullet, some or all of the above. And that's what the court needs to decide. What do you want to do? Some, all, or none?
My first feeling is that at the CO, it's 3 years or 5 years, 500,000 a year, you do a CO for it now to get it done. The costs are going to go up more likely going forward, and that building is in great need of help. And I just hate to see us continue to put Band-Aids on it. I mean,
Great.
But anyway, that's just my view on it. But we can look at the rest of it too. Because the rest of it.
There's more.
The more. Yeah. We're about halfway through the handout.
Yeah, the rest isn't quite as painful.
Well, good.
This is $2.5 million. Okay. Any other comments about the ag barn?
We're all trying to swallow.
Okay, then let's move on. Next slide, Charles. All right, so this kind of came to the committee's attention. I don't know if it was January that first had a discussion with the sheriff. And I've asked the sheriff to walk us through. There's 2 slides that talk about why he needs to expand his office. So Sheriff, would you please?
Sure. Well, thanks, Bruce, for putting this together. But yeah, once I found out about this, we're continuing to grow. And some of the things since I've been in office, we're doing a lot of services that we weren't doing before. I say we're busting at the seams as far as another things. I'm in negotiations with the Department of Public Safety and the federal agents, Homeland Security, to house people here. Now we're just at the beginning stages of that. I probably see Homeland Security coming first before DPS. They have put one in Kendall County because of all the human trafficking, human smuggling. But one of the first things they ask you is, do you have office space? Okay, that's one of the things. I think that's very reasonable for them to ask when they pay the salary. They give them all the equipment stuff. So that's what we're looking at. The next thing is kind of our forensic lab. That was here prior to me taking office, but we've really expanded that since I've been in office. We're doing some really good services. District Attorney Lucy Wilkie here, they could probably expand on that. That's something that they really use, and she uses a lot, and we don't want to see go away. I've been able to fund that through Operation Lone Star. We're approaching $100,000 a year in software, stuff like that I would have to come to the court if we ever lose that. I hope that stays here for a while, but that's a service I think that's going to be hard for us to stop doing at some point. But as far as these, Rich put this together, so I don't know, does the court have these or no?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so I'd be happy to talk about any one of them. Basically, I can tell you off the top of my head. Currently at the sheriff's office, what we say, the main complex, I'm housing several investigators that need to be housed with their supervisors. I'd like to see that. Literally two of them in a closet, you know what I mean? They have a chair in there and a desk, and it's kind of hard for them to back out. Yeah, it works, but I started, like I said, in January. Whether it happens this year or not, I don't know, but I need to start it at some point. We're just continuing to expand and give services that we haven't given before. We talked about our SRT team, Special Response Team. They didn't have that. Now I have a 14-man team. It cost about $10,000. It was $10,000, probably $12,000 to $13,000 to outfit those guys that have not been paid anything by this county. It's been all money I've raised for them, in addition to a $320,000 Bearcat. So I think I've done my part to think out of the box and raise the funds to be able to do these things. But office space is office space. Yeah, would I love to have a new building? Absolutely. But I know with everything I've already seen this morning, that's a long shot. I think this is a fix that could be done. Rich will probably talk about some numbers. Also being housed there, we have our investigators. What's that?
There's another slide. I don't know if you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm pretty much
following along.
Pretty much, I pretty much kind of covered a majority of this. In our forensic lab, it's a 124 square foot, 10 by 12. 2 people currently working there, but the majority of that's taken up by the equipment in that room. We have to have a special AC system we've purchased that is in that room. But that's another thing. We want to be the first regional lab in the state of Texas, and we're off to a good start. But same thing. If I'm going to go ask other district attorneys or to other agencies to ante up and give us some money for that, they want a seat at the table. And I can't give them that today. That's kind of why we're kind of at a standstill on that until we can, get some added space in there. There's a lot of other things, it's good to be in our facility. We have a secure fence. We have several undercover agents that park in the back. Being next door is very nice because my jail's right there. We walk prisoners over there a lot to interview them and stuff and go back and forth like that. I continue to expand my interdiction unit. We're at Kerr, Kendall, and Gillespie County. I've heard one of the new sheriffs wants to add an additional person. I currently have 5 interdiction officers that work in a 2-man office. I have 3 investigators work in a 2-man office. I can go all day long, with this. It's just a time where we're expanding. I'm bringing more services. I'm trying to do everything I can at no cost, to the county, which I think I've done a very good job of that. But I'll be happy to answer any questions y'all have.
Charles, give me the next slide. I'll take it from here or there.
Okay, thank you.
Unless they have questions, please. So, once Larry brought this to me, we started various options. And you can see that the solutions that were considered were to expand the existing annex, build a new facility. We looked at relocating the adult probation group. We also looked at relocating the district attorney's offices. We found that the best fit in terms of the space required, proximity to the other sheriff offices, and the DA's lowest cost and the least disruption was to relocate adult probation. And once we started looking at that, we looked at various options, trying to put them in the juvenile detention facility. Once we met with Jason, found out that was not a viable option. We looked at the Wesker Annex. We looked at building a new office. And then we looked at 550 Earl Garrett. When the public defenders moved out of that building, it left all kind of good, high-quality office space available. So that became the best fit and the lowest cost. So the next slide. Yes.
Location in relation to churches and stuff like that. There's minimum standards, and that y'all probably looked at that, but
Yes, we
do
did.
we want to go with minimum standards?
Well, it's not a matter of standards.
Well, requirements, whatever you want to call it.
We looked at all the legal aspects and having probationers within 500 yards of a school, playground, child care facility, whatever.
Yards or feet?
Yards.
Yards.
That's a condition of the probation, but per the Code of Criminal Procedure 42A 453, subsection H1, anyway, that requirement does not apply to a defendant while the defendant is in or going immediately to or from a community supervision and corrections department office. So it doesn't really apply.
But
Is it a
prudent?
concern?
Yes.
Yes. But I think, you know, we certainly kicked around that, and there's no doubt it's gonna be a concern. But if you look at the existing annex where they're located, there are playgrounds and childcare, school. There are things within that 500 yard already. And there have been others in the past. And there's never been an event or an issue that's arisen. You know, obviously, the concern is sex offenders, not all of the probationers are sex offenders. There's a lot of different types. Well, the high risk, they're not probationers. They're not out. So probably the biggest concern is those who've been bonded before they have their formal hearing. But, you know, I think it's all relatively manageable. And you've got the Kerrville Police Station where it's located, kind of right across the street, very close proximity to a lot of schools, churches, and things. All of these, let's say, sex offenders are required to register with the Kerrville Police Department, and they have been for decades. So, is it a worry? Yeah, but I think it's very, very low risk. And, you know, if anything, if I were, well, how do I say this?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, you already said
You know, with the kind of security that you're gonna see and the documentation of when people are coming and going from this facility, if they had a grain of intelligence, they would not target anybody in the near vicinity. They would look at other places.
the grain of intelligence.
Well,
Right.
Not a fact.
I mean,
the point is, it's not been a problem up to now.
I would, in my mind, this building is a better location, for all the stuff you're talking about, is a better location than where it is right now. It's right in the middle of the basic commercial, the most commercial area of Kerrville, except for
the church.
except for there's a church over there, that's daycare. Whereas where we are right now, there's apartments across there, there's a you know, families live across in that subdivision, you have a school, you have a church, so it's kind of the same.
Andrea, myself, and Lucy all met on Friday with Reverend Garcia at the church, and we looked at that. I mean, boy, they've got a pretty secure facility for their playground area and for all the children. They are always supervised. Now, that doesn't mean that some of the parishioners won't have concerns, but I think we can meet with them and explain that this is very, very low risk. And I'm sure our sheriff's department is going to take added care and be monitoring. And of course, the police department do have the prime responsibility in this area.
Rich, may I add something?
Absolutely, please.
Yeah, so the
Please go to the
daycare is
podium so they
always.
can hear you.
Oh, sorry. The daycare is always on lockdown. They're locked. We actually, when we went over there was a fire alarm going and it was unlocked because of the fire alarm. It automatically unlocks everything. When we went back, it was going to take a while for the fire department to get there and get everything settled. And so when we were called to go back, which was probably 45 minutes to an hour later, then it was all back on lockdown. I did confirm that children are never left unsupervised at the daycare, and it's on lockdown. I don't even know if they have an outdoor playground. If they do, we didn't see it.
There is no.
There is, okay.
Again, it's
But yeah,
it's all
but I
facility.
did ask him, is this always on lockdown? And he said yes. And then I asked him if children were ever left unsupervised, and he said no. He didn't seem to express any concerns at all. He never asked us any questions or expressed any concern. That doesn't mean there weren't any going through his head. But we did offer to come back for a meeting with his parishioners if that was necessary. And of course, we assured him, we can't guarantee you nothing's going to happen ever. We just can't make that promise. But these sex offenders are at the grocery store. Some of them are attending church. They're everywhere. But the daycare is on lockdown, and he did not express any concerns to us We did tell him we'd go back if there were any concerns that he wanted us to address with his parishioners.
And obviously, if we were to build a new adult probation office, where would you put it? In some remote part of the county, where you didn't have some kind of proximity to something like this. All right, next slide, please. So this just kind of shows you some of the modifications that would be required to accommodate adult probation. And this is kind of everything that Andrea has asked for, and it's all reasonable, so I'm all for giving her whatever she's needing. One room, she'd like to knock a wall down to make it a large training room. Like to add an external door to what is right now the lounge for OSSF. That's the one area they have to give up, and that becomes the adult probation reception area. We have to do a complete remodel of one of the toilets. So that's what you see highlighted there, remodeled. And some of the doors, you know, we're just going to beef them up, go with some solid core doors, a possible steel door. Next, please. Next. Upstairs, which would be, actually go back there, Charles. Let me just make a point. You can see there is no impact on veteran services. They stay in those 4 rooms that have been allocated to them. And OSSF stays in all the rooms that have been allocated to them, other than that break room that I mentioned. And I think they'll have to use their meeting room as kind of a break room during lunch hours. Okay, now Charles, next one. And this is the second floor upstairs, which would be all adult probation. And so to have a greater number of offices, there's a requirement to add walls. These are really large office rooms. But to add walls and of course doors associated with those walls. So that's the main thing in terms of physical modifications. Next, please. And then Sergeant Piper had Guardian come in and do a security assessment, because the team looked at security. And that gets pretty steep. Their cost estimates that came in over the weekend, that was $115,000. They had some contingency in addition to that, which I backed out because we have an overall contingency that covers it. And also, the other big ticket item is the flooring. It's all old carpet for the most part, and the idea would be to replace all of that with a good quality laminate flooring. So when you look at everything together here, the total cost to make this a suitable office for adult probation is right at $300,000. That's my last slide.
Now we're close to $5 million. If you add everything.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, if you add everything together,
Sure.
that's what it is.
I'm guessing there's still more that we haven't considered.
Let's take them in bite-sized pieces. The ag barn is 2.5 million. The 550 Garrett is 300,000. So that's 2.8. Right? And then we've got, if we do anything with the church building on the 600 Garrett, that's a 2 million. But I'm saying,
I don't think it would happen in this time frame.
Okay.
I think that's something is Bob here? You know, a lot more work has to go into that.
but that 2.8 would have to add at least probably $1 million for the animal services. So we're talking about borrowing $4.8 million, $4 million.
Yeah, I know these are real numbers, but they look a little low to me.
Which
I think Ag Barn and Earl Garrett. I mean,
I feel very good about them because we've got bids from contractors, and then we had a general contractor look at it. And, I mean, he definitely bumped me up on a few of them.
And I know the general contractor,
But
obviously.
I think it's very credible.
Right.
And,
I would wonder, and I don't know, this would be a question probably for Heather, are any of these renovations gonna require engineers or architects? If they do, that's another 10%. And I don't know if they do or not, some
Well,
stuff,
I think if you look at the, general conditions, that there's enough money in there, it's over $300,000, that you can do a little bit of engineering or design, and certainly you would have to with respect to plumbing and underground utilities, but
yeah, and I think,
I really think it's pretty well covered. You're not
I-
redesigning the building, you're just,
after going through, permitting, and it just, all this stuff ends up costing more as we find out animal control, hopefully not to that extent. But, I'd hate to get in the same situation where on the animal control, and start getting through this stuff and, we don't have it with the CO. If we go that route, I'd go a little bit on the higher side to cover these contingencies. And then if you don't use it, pay off the debt. And the other thing that we do have on the table is selling the animal control facility, which, not sure, somewhere 250, 300,000, 400,000, something like that.
It's a pretty attractive location.
that's a good thing.
So,
So with it, I guess the next step would be look into how we might finance it, try to figure out what our debt service is going to be, because that gets added to the budget.
And I'll remind you, there are possibilities for grants. I know you're looking at some of that too. So that would reduce it if that comes through.
Well, that would be the crossing of the K.
Sure.
We've got a plan, first of all.
But I guess particularly with respect to Commissioner Les's comments about maybe having some extra, but I'm actually counting on at least getting $200,000 in a grant to cover the fire suppression. So that's.
yeah, I just, either way. I mean, it's, and if we got I guess I looked at it and I was, obviously in favor of the bond issue. This meets a lot of those needs. I just hate to see us piecemeal things and do it a little bit at a time, and it don't get things done.
I don't disagree with you, but piecemealing would be better than doing nothing, which is what we did for how many years with the act.
I agree with that, and there is it is often better if you borrow the money, I'm sure interest rates are right now, because it's not out of the M&O budget, which does help from some of our standpoint of tax rate. But anyway. But very good job, Rich. I appreciate you very thorough, and I think that you looked at
Big
where
job.
we are.
Any other questions? Okay.
Let me just make one other final statement. I really have to commend the team that's been supporting and helping me on this, and especially Andrea. I kind of anticipated that she would go kicking and screaming, and she has just been a joy to work with and extremely cooperative, and I know she doesn't really want to do this. So if it happens, I'm sorry, but I do thank you for your willingness to cooperate.
Well, one of the gratitude is I'm very grateful that BSO did not have to do it. That was going to be a collision of enormous proportion.
Chase isn't on the team, but it was kind of, he came up with a good solution to allow them to stay.
It was tomorrow. It was tomorrow.
Oh, was, okay, well, anyway.
Can I make a comment about that too?
No. As a consultant, you can.
Okay. I think we came to this resolution too because there was some transparency involved and we involved all of the offices that might be affected versus just strategizing and meeting and, just kind of trying to force anything. So I appreciate that, and I know, meeting with Veteran Services and also environmental, I think, it was better to have more input where we could make a better decision. And Rich said, I'm not real keen on moving just because our area was built for us, but I also understand and appreciate and respect what the Sheriff's Office is doing as well. So ideally, if I could have what I want, it would be a new building, but I also understand that budget constraints around that as well. So, thank you.
Okay, with that, let's take a 5-minute break and come back. We've got almost an hour to go. Okay. I think the most efficient thing for us to do with the rest of the time we have remaining today, and we're not going to lose a quorum, we're going to lose 2 commissioners at 10:30. The most important thing for me on these workshop items is to hear what the court thinks about these wage adjustment and salary issues. And I'm going to kind of lump them together. What we're going to do is put off ARPA and the maintenance schedule, Shane, and handle those at a separate time. If we get time, we'll take them up. But other than that, I'm planning to put them to the end. And I'm going to lump all these other ones together. Wage adjustment, request for new employees, request for salary increases for individual employees, and include the IT department staff on there. And so that's what is the next topic for the workshop. And floor is open.
I'm here presenting for HR if you need me for anything. I did give everyone this packet, has everything. We have the new hire request. It was originally, I believe, the county clerk.
Which one are we looking at?
The new hire,
This one. Oh, the blue one.
the blue ones.
With the yellow.
Yes.
This one. It's on the back side of something.
To the very bottom right
I
there.
got it, I did just one color.
And which one of those are we taking first?
I guess we can do, I think I lumped it up with the special request first.
Okay.
This does include the IT's ask.
Okay.
He's asked to reclassify a couple, or most of his staff, and an increase for himself, other than what you've seen already that's represented from animal control, county attorney, county clerk, the jail, crime victims, the district clerk, KCSO, the JP 1 and 3, their clerk, the tax office, and it also has the 190 APA for his legal assistance, but that's paid out of Fund 84. So the total request of all the,
Well, IT's not on this one, right?
yes,
on the back.
it's already on there, on the very back.
The last year.
I can talk about it, or Corey, you want to come up there for this section if you wanted to. It's in the back of the special request.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Got it. Okay.
So this is basically.
So I'll just rip the Band-Aid off on the IT department. So I've been here obviously 3 weeks, come in eyes wide open, and after comparing the salaries of my counterparts at the city of Kerrville, Bernie, Kendall County, we're paid 42% less than our counterparts, pretty much across the board. So in evaluating the staff that I have here in the first 3 weeks, I want to reclass my current sysad, because he's actually doing more of a role of a network administrator, ensuring continuity of operations, security, performance. My current IT3, he's actually doing more of the sysad positions, working with servers, applications, user accounts, that kind of stuff. And then also bumping up my IT specialist 1 and 2 to the 2 and 3 positions. You look at the number from the average salary between our 3 counterparts, that's $130,000 more a year. I'm asking for $40,000 a year in salaries for my department. When benefits are included, that is $50,000. The path to yes, I've been working very closely with our auditor for my department's budget for next year, and I'm able to come in actually at $100,000 less next year and going forward. So there's room in my department budget for this salary increase.
What's the 100,000 next year?
I'm sorry?
What's the 100,000 savings next year?
We've completed different projects that are no longer on the budget scale. We've also been able to use the Fund 16 dollars, the debt dollars that Tammy talks about, to begin a modernization process for our hardware. So there was cost savings, project completions that were already funded from last year. My current fiscal 25 budget will also include modernization of software, hopefully integrating to Office 365, and by doing that, actually, it will reduce a lot of our software licensing requirements. So it's not going to go complete to zero, but by using the Office 365, our local hardware licensing for different Office products will not be as nearly required. That will shrink. That's a huge savings there right off the bat. So
I'm looking at her liaison commissioner, she's nodding her head. So,
True.
okay.
When we pay for the 365 licensing, it includes all those things that we're paying for now, so we wouldn't want to double pay if we flipped to that. So he would get that savings from that.
and that, I'm hoping to anticipate that.
That's 6 months out, right?
We can't do that until the Active Directory rebuild, which will start here at the end of this month. But that is a 6 to 8 month project. So I'm looking to start the 365 migration early spring. So, yeah, and in these 3 weeks working with my staff, I've been able to initially develop a 5-year plan for modernization, a continuous modernization plan. So if we look at the cost of living between here and Bernie, obviously housing expenses are higher, but when you go to the Census Bureau or salary.com, the cost of living between here and Bernie are almost identical. And you've got handouts there that are attached there that shows the position changes for my department, along with the salary increases. And you've also got the numbers, hard numbers from the city of Kerrville, Bernie, and Kendall County for their dollars, for their departments. And then I also have the breakdown for my next year's FY25 budget.
Question I had, why does the support specialist 3 make more money than the support specialist 2?
It's a higher step.
It's a higher step?
Yes.
That's what it is?
Yeah.
3 is higher than,
So what is the question?
Sorry.
It's the steps in there, see, one's a 19, one's a 18.
okay. Any questions for Mr. Dennis?
Well, my biggest thing is 3 weeks ago, that starting salary was all right, and now it's not.
When the analysis between the different departments became a realization, it's just it's a matter of being compensated accordingly.
You're still going to be under budget.
You're under budget.
Even with this change,
I'm still under budget from last year.
he's still under budget. Explain that one more time.
Yes, my operating budget for fiscal year 25 is going to be $100,000 less than FY24. The salary increase is only half of what was spent last year.
I'm gonna let you share that.
Okay,
No, right now.
okay,
Okay.
fair.
Any other questions for Mr. McCoy? Okay, thank you.
So the total reclass or special request requested is about $153,000. With all the roll-ups, FICA, retirement, insurance for any of those part-times that went up to a full-time, it brings a grand total of about $196,000.
We're getting 100 back from IT, right?
With another,
Into the next budget cycle.
Excuse me?
Are you talking, the numbers you just gave, was that just for IT?
No, it's for everything.
That's what I
It's for
thought.
all the
153 and 190.
Okay, gotcha.
153 total for all the requests and 196,000 with the insurance, FICA, unemployment, retirement, all that stuff. That's about 43,000.
So that takes us to about 196, right? And what I'm hearing from IT is because of the savings that's gonna go, that are going into that budget,
Right.
we got 100 of it offset by IT savings.
It'd be 50 actually, with the wage increase.
50? Okay. It's 50,000.
I don't know if people want to give all his $100,000 savings into everybody else's increase.
Well,
Like you said
that's
that.
my question.
Exactly.
That is precisely my question. We've got $196,000 raises that are requested, right?
Are you
Yeah, but
taking
I
them out
think
of
we
your
have to look
budget?
at them kind of almost individually, or at least by department.
I think
Because
it's
of that
great.
more.
Right,
So
I agree.
I don't think, whatever his savings are, that's great, doesn't really matter.
What matters,
What matters is,
I wanna know what the
are
others
we
do.
okay with 13.5, 12.6%, 12.6%, 7.4,
Okay.
and again, are we okay with a significant raise for somebody who just started 3 weeks ago? Kind of like, maybe next year, yeah, we'll consider it for sure, but.
I understand the timing of it is unfortunate, but it is the budget cycle. And when you look at the,
And I don't fault anybody for asking, but I think this court has a duty to sometimes say no.
Yeah.
Well, and so that everybody remembers the procedure we're gonna follow, because I'm gonna make a recommendation on what to do with these. And then this court gets to make the final decision.
Okay.
So we have a two-step process. So let's go back to the front page.
But then are you gonna kind of break out just this stuff? Because I think this is very important.
I think it's very important too.
Not just IT. Yeah, okay.
I agree.
You want me to go ahead and say the new hire so then we can break it up by departments?
Yes.
The next page is the new hire. Originally, there was the county clerk had a couple of positions, and between the county clerk and the district clerk, it was then decided they shouldn't need it anymore. So now we only have 2 requests. It's one for the jail and one for
Back up,
the...
what did you just say?
The county clerk, originally, there was more positions on here because the county clerk needed a couple positions if some of the district clerk duties came, or the original duties came back.
So we're not considering that now?
We're not, you're not requesting those anymore, right?
But
Well, it depends on if that's coming, I don't know if that's still coming back to the county clerks or not.
That's my
exactly.
question.
Yeah, if it's coming back, and yes, I'm still considering.
Well,
Yes.
that's my point.
I think it needs to be in there for consideration.
And this is an agreement between the county clerk's office and the district clerk's office that court ratified, and the district courts and the county court law also ratified. So we got that court order to get around. I need to know what the district clerk's gonna do. So,
Well,
If I remember correctly, didn't this court did that, I'm going off memory on this, according to the Constitution, the duties belong to the county clerk, and that's where she wants it.
well, but she wants us
She
to
was
send
willing
that
to
over.
keep it, but she wanted
with a
compensation.
salary adjustment.
It's a local rule that it's a judicial rule that they would have to amend to make that change.
Yes.
That's what
It can be changed. It's gotta be formally done. Which hasn't, and that's why I didn't know if y'all had reached an
No,
agreement.
no,
I didn't think so.
Well,
I think it's still in our lap.
Yeah, I think so.
the
that's my understanding.
Yeah.
district clerk schedule here, is that keeping it or getting rid of it?
Let's go over and look at this, on the first page, let's look at the district clerk. That is everybody in the office,
Get involved.
And
except for the district clerk. It's an elected official. The chief deputy and all the way down.
but she's going down one employee.
Correct.
That pays for all of the increases.
Till they need
Except
another
$75.
employee next year or something.
That's right on at the bottom, right? We're making the deputy clerk.
Right.
So as I recall, one thing, all of, included in it, part of it, we agreed last year, didn't get in here, that all of the 15 should have been 16s. And I think we at least need to make that correction.
She's taking them all to 7.
Right. But I mean, we at least need to go to 60, because I remember mid-year, she came to us and said, I'm not gonna hire this person because I'm not gonna hire somebody higher than all my clerks.
Correct.
And that's because it just didn't get worked into the budget last year.
And this also impacts the county clerk because your entry level is at 15, grade
Correct,
15.
that is correct.
So. You're probably gonna ask for this raise to be to 17. I'm just trying to be realistic.
Yes, sir, yeah, that's correct.
Okay, we're gonna have to.
The starting positions for the tax office, I think, might be a 15 also.
I'm sorry?
The starting positions in the tax office might be a 15 also. That's correct.
The tax assessor collector's already told me that he's fine with the way he is, but if everybody else gets a raise, he wants his people too.
Everybody's gonna start saying that, that's fine.
Well,
I know.
I don't think we can afford it.
welcome to my world.
No, not a good year for it. First workshop, I stated that I'm not for all these.
We got a trade-off with the tax and the clerk's offices that I've got to consider, and it's got to be fair to everybody. Okay, that's my first one. Let's go to the second.
Another
You're
one,
on first, the second. So,
animal control. I know we did it last year, but one of the things, to me those increases are too much. But I don't like taking the steps up 7 and leaving the grades the same. I think that confuses our whole system. I think we need to, if there's an increase warranted, the grade needs to go up and keep the steps where they are based on kind of how long you've been in the office, rather than just all of a sudden. Basically, what we did last year at Road and Bridge and the sheriff was the wrong way to do it in my mind. We should have just changed their start salaries. So I think moving out of the steps is not the correct way to do it.
My opinion is that we should get rid of the steps, but.
Well, yeah, you and I are pretty, you and I. Unfortunately, we didn't get that wrapped up, and hopefully, that work will continue on going into a different payroll system, but.
for animal control, we're talking about 7 steps, and each step is 2.5%.
Yeah. I think it's too much of an increase. I think the increase is warranted. I think the amount is too much. Good. Fine.
Okay. Okay. County attorney, legal assistant, from the 18 to the 21.
Yes, sir. You all have questions?
Just asking.
Aren't you covering that in SB 22?
I cannot cover that in SB 22.
Why?
Because it's not an authorized use of the funds.
It's not authorized legal assistant.
I can only use it for the attorneys, an investigator, or new staff. And I don't have need for new staff. But I have a position that, at the time, we were fully staffed, and we have an investigator that has, our cases are filed sooner, and this position took on more of a legal assistant duties from being a hot check coordinator, and so his duties are more in line with the duties.
You're handling all of that in your SB 22 funds. The only thing you're asking for is this one legal assistant.
The increase for the legal assistant, yes, so that he is paid consistent with the duties that he has been doing for about a year now.
But it's a 16% increase.
That's what the other legal assistants are throughout the county.
They're grade 21?
Yes.
And they need to be consistent.
That's what I needed to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we're talking, county clerk, about your position. Jail. It looks like the corrections officers are a grade each, right?
Right, okay. Can we go over the new positions, or are we doing the reclassification?
We're not
We're
there
amazing
yet.
right now.
Okay. Raises. Okay.
We got a 1 grade increase in your corrections peace officer sergeant, and 1 grade each for the corrections peace officer.
And also a communications officer.
Supervisor. Where's that?
Well, no, there's one more.
It's on back page, it's KCSO, telecommunications assistant supervisor.
Okay.
It goes from an 18.5 to a 19.5.
Okay, so we'll talk about the corrections first. Good. Okay,
Just confirm, you're raising each of them a grade.
yeah, and let me explain, this isn't a raise, I know Don, how you feel this year, this is a reclassification of correction officer to correction peace officers. So what you know, this program's been very successful. What I've done, you know, Judge, we had the recruit and retention. It's retaining, is it recruiting neighboring counties, but there's no way I'm gonna ever bring anybody in from San Antonio. So it is working, but you know, I'm kind of keeping a regional area. What I'm having to do is I'm growing my own officers today. And like I said, it's been very successful, morale is up. So these guys here, these were correction officers, the same duty as corrections officer, but in the last 2 years, I've been sending guys to the academy. The reason I asked for this one-step bump for them, or from a 18.5 to 19.5, these guys have spent 6 months going to the police academy, ACI Academy. They are actually deputy sheriffs, what I could call assigned to the jail. These guys are able to do a laundry list of deputies in addition to what they do now. It's really helped me. When I get to my new deputy position in a little bit and stuff, I'll explain our PCO transports, our calls for service, PTO time. I kind of broke that down so y'all have a better understanding of that. But in this program here, these guys here can not only do what the deputy does. Like I said, they're still working the jail, but they're being able to transport to the hospital. When we go to San Antonio, they can stay in the hospital, or I'm not taking a road deputy, which means we can answer more calls. These guys are able, once I feel comfortable, they're just now coming out of the FTO program. We got to give them a little time on the ground. Is actually Sergeant Johnson, who is pretty good, and I trust him a lot. He's already doing transports. Once a week, we transport to TDC, to a hub, and then they go from there. But they're able to do some stuff that a normal jailer can't do. Besides that, like I said, they went to a 6-month academy. They went to a 3 to 4 month FTO program, and they're really my go-to guys, and they're also in line to go to patrol. So keep in mind, you know, it's not a whole lot, but they're already Kirk County employees. I'm saving $1,000 a piece, not having to do a psychological, physical, or drug testing. So that's why I said I'm kind of building my own guys, but I think it's very worth the cost of this, what I'm getting out of these guys, because they went to the academy.
Is this like a certification?
Well, yeah, they're certified peace officers now going through the academy. And this process, what I want you to know, it takes me a year. I need this, but I mean, you know, it's something I want to do. It's proved successful. We're the only agency around here that's full of officers.
Okay. I understand.
I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the sheriff?
You want to do the backside too?
Let's go ahead and do the backside. You got,
Just say that's one of the few that I kind of support because of the investment in the training and what we're getting out of that program.
which one you support?
The one that the sheriffs were just describing with the corrections peace officers.
Well, I understand that. That's.
I mean, it's worked great. We're full.
They get a bump. I understand where you're coming
And
from.
it supports this program, which is working, and I like it, grassroots up, and lower cost.
Let's finish up with you and just talk about the telecommunications assistant supervisor.
Okay, like I said, this isn't a new employee. I say it's not a raise. It's adjusting one from a grade 21 to a 22. I feel it's time to ask for an assistant communications supervisor, and I asked for that because, you know, dispatch is kind of our lifeline.
Right there.
Got different numbers
Oh,
than we do.
Yeah.
The backside of that.
But it's not a 21 to 22, it's an 18.5 to 19.5.
That's what I got.
Am I missing something over there?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm on the wrong page. Let me go over one more.
Good.
Yeah, don't scare me like that.
And that's
That was in the front
that's a
page.
1 grade bump.
Yeah, okay, yeah, for the duties, they have the normal duties of a dispatcher, but like I said, communications operators are a lifeline for our officers, but my current, there's 11 people in there. I have 1 supervisor in there. Now I say she's never off. I mean, she does a really good job when she's on vacation, you know, monitoring her phone and her emails, but I think she truly needs to be off. With all the liability involved in dispatching our dispatchers, I really think there needs to be a second in command along with that, so she can kind of be off. But you know, I've told this one will be a night shift, you know, what I call a swing to night shift, to be able. This time last year, I had 3 openings. I had 3 openings in there. You know, the recruit retention did work on this. I fill it up, and I've continued to stay full. One of the issues is we're young in there. We're very young, but that's okay. That's the direction I'm taking the sheriff's office to start young.
But your rationale for asking for this one is because of the additional duties and job description.
Yeah, and yeah, the responsibility and liability that comes along with
I just
this.
wanted to know why.
That's why, sir.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, we got KCSO. We talked to county attorney, talked to county clerk, talked to jail, crime victims. That's her request. We get it every year. District clerk, we understand what that's all about. Any questions on any of these? And on the back page, we've got environmental health. It's 10% raise for the director, and then a step or a grade for each member of that department. Is that right?
What? Yeah, this is the, it increase the grades if there's additional responsibility to duties, increasing steps, but it doesn't make sense to me.
I wanted to say that.
Yes, so I understand what you're saying there regarding the steps versus the grades, and I'd be willing to go back and retry to classify some of the positions. What we've implemented this past year is trying to be more proactive and doing more public awareness, and that way we can try to reduce our number of violations, because in Kirk County, based on analysis that I've done, we receive a high volume of OSSF violations compared to most surrounding counties, and I'm not sure why. And so what we've implemented based on my data clerk data assistant and my administrative assistant is trying to be more proactive, sending letters, doing more thorough research, and so that way we can try to prevent violations and prevent at least help in the sense with the court costs, so we're not having to issue notice of violation letters as often, and that can eventually lead to citations. So we're just trying to be more proactive and aware, so the public is aware of our department and what the rules and regulations are. So if we need to reclassify some of the positions, what the duties and the positions and what they do, that would be fine.
Any questions? Thank you.
Actually, before you depart there, tell me what was the effectively new certification that you have personally?
So I received my professional registered sanitarian license, which is in order to earn that license, you have to have a 4-year college degree in a related science. It can't be just any science, and with my background in environmental science, which is a multidisciplinary study taking engineering, geology, biology, and biology, and just seeing how it's all connected and implementing it in different, however you would like. I was able to receive that, and that degree or that license, a small portion of it is related to OSSF, but there's a lot to it. It was kind of relearning, going back to my old school books in college and studying microbiology, hazardous waste material and how it's transported, food inspections, healthcare facilities, so it's sanitary.
But it's certification?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got it.
That's what I'm trying to
Yes.
emphasize. I think there's some justification, I don't know about the number.
I think
I got you.
that position probably should be exempt and not.
I agree with that too.
And I did request that as well in the letter, that change as well.
Okay, thank you. JP 1 and 3 clerk, 50-50 split. I think we understand that one. Tax office, tax supervisor, clerk. I think those are duties and responsibilities, job description. 198 DA fund. And that's,
Is it supposed to be his forfeiture fund? I know your 4 is not the forfeiture.
No, it's not his forfeiture fund, it's his normal fund. It says the one where most of the salaries, all the salaries get paid out of.
That is the fund that both
Fund 84.
both Bandera and Kerr County send money to support those. To
That's
support
correct.
that fund.
198 didn't use SB 22 to the full extent that 216 did, so I don't know how all that relates.
They pay about, Kerr County for this, that salary pays about 71%.
I'm sorry, what?
Kerr County for Fund 84 pays about 71%. So
And
about this,
The Senate bill money can't be used for the increases he's requesting for the
Right.
staff, for existing staff. It
Same
has
as
to-
your issue.
Right, it has to be used for new staff or the attorneys or the
I understand the
investigators.
restrictions of SB 20. So he's asking for it out of the general fund.
Indirectly, there'll be a portion of that that does come out of general fund, yes.
71% is what you're saying?
so yeah, 71%.
71%.
So about 71%
Of
of
that.
the 15,000 is what he's asking for Kerr County.
Okay, I think we understand that. And then we've already gone over IT, so that covers all the requests for raises. We've got new hires. And one that we've got, one in the jail, one patrol, in the sheriff's office, we've already gone over that. And then we've got one in the county clerk's office, depending on what we decide about the district clerk.
Correct.
I do have the information for that one from the county clerk. For her request, it's about 48,000 for that one county clerk position, if the duties are.
28,000,
48,000.
48.
48,000. Does that include roll-ups?
Are you on the front page? Front page?
Yes. That includes roll. The actual salary is about 39,000. I don't have it, we didn't put it on there, just, but the jail, the KCSO, the new hire, we were under the impression that she wouldn't need it anymore, but next time we'll update it. But the county clerk's new position is for a grade 15, step 1. It's about 39,000.
Yeah, I see that.
With roll-ups, it's 48.
Got it. Okay. Now that gets us to discussion about wage adjustment and inflation. Who wants to kick this off? You go ahead.
Okay, I'll just kind of do a quick, I included on the page titled wage adjustment and inflation, something that Kelly kind of brought up just to the attention of where we've been at and what's happened in the past 5 years. So the very first little table, you can see each wage adjustment and inflation corresponded with that year. So the average from 2019 to 2023, the wage adjustment has been 2.7%. The inflation averaged during that same time period, 2019 to 2023, is 4.39%.
So it's about 2% behind
On average,
for inflation.
That's on average, huh?
Average.
But cumulatively, it's
not
a
cumulatively.
lot worse.
Down at the bottom part of that, I have the table, which is the cumulative for those same years, 2019 through 2023. The cumulative wage adjustment has been 13.5%. The inflation for those same years is about 22%, 21.94%. So the difference of where we're behind is about a negative 8.44%.
And to explain to the public what we're talking about, that we don't have that on the screen, do we?
No, we don't.
The top part of this schedule that you give us is, it shows what our wage adjustments were, that the county granted to the employees, 2.7%, and that is the average for the last 5 years today. Compared to the actual annual rate of inflation. That's the annual rate. The second schedule is the cumulative effect, because it went up the first year in 2019 by, well, let's just go to 2022, it went up 8.84% for that year. Okay? And then next year, it went up 5.6, which cumulative effect is, it's got to take into account that 8% from the year before. That's why it's cumulative. So that, and on that one, we're almost 8.5% behind what inflation is actually.
Well, if you look there, the big changes was the change in the administrations in Washington, or at least numbers.
Yeah.
Well,
south on it.
well, what it is, it's the capital infusion that the federal government did with those ARPA funds.
Exactly.
When you pump that much money into the economy, it starts inflation. That's what happens. But that's-
We can't fully make amends for what Washington's doing to us, though.
No.
We tried, and I was wholeheartedly for the last two wage adjustments. And I won't be, I can't be again going for that much. I don't think we can do that again.
I agree with you. You can't keep it, you can't do a 5% increase. I think we do need, I would say 3% would be a number that I would have.
Well, I think the next thing, I want to make sure that the employees, we got a room full of here, understand, and that the public understands, is that we do not have a COLA. And we changed it, we did not call it a cost of living adjustment because we can't keep up with the COLA. And we know it, and these numbers reflect our knowledge that we can't do that. We changed the term we use to wage adjustment. And we just make uniform wage adjustments for the employees. That's the way we've done it, so that we're not misrepresenting what it really is. How can we call it a COLA when you know more than what we're giving you?
So as of, we don't have figures for 2024, but as of May, the last data put us at 4.72%.
So I think we all understand the wage adjustments we've given and what the inflation's been, both by year and the cumulative effect. Now let's go to the last exhibit you gave us here, which is a schedule of what a 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%, 7% wage adjustment would look like countywide, right?
Correct. So currently, the position schedule as of 6/24, that already includes market adjustments. It does not include any of the reclassifications and all of that. Total salaries is about 20.5 million. 20,444,000. But the Kerr County portion of that excludes grants, SB 22, local and state reimbursement, and any fees, brings us to about 19 million, which is 18,839,000.
But I think we need to clarify, we're going to lose some of that. We're using some of the ARPA funds.
That doesn't include ARPA, so I've already removed
Okay,
ARPA.
good.
So it's kind of right now, if we were to approve it and the position schedule is good to go, this is what it would cost. I also have, as the new and special request, it's 274,000, have to include that 41,000 from the county clerk back, so it's a little bit off. So, I don't know if you want me to go through each 3, 4, 5, 6%.
Well, no, I don't think you need to go through each one of them, but if we gave as much as a 7% wage adjustment, that would increase our budget by 1.6 million. Is that right?
Correct.
And combined with special request 1.67, I guess that's the number we really need to look at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if we did a 3%, it would be an adjustment of 716,000 or 17,000.
So you have a range from 3% if you approve all positions, and the special request from 3% is about 717,000, all the way up to 7%, which is about 1.7.
We can't possibly do that.
We
should have shown them from 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, yes,
And not
exactly,
3 to 7. We can't do it.
exactly. I agree. You know, we should have looked at, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3.
Exactly. What we still
4.
can. I'd like to see that. One argument is if inflation's around 5%, okay, maybe we can keep up with half of it. That's true.
Well, again, we can't keep up with what
I know.
DC's doing to us.
But at the same time, our employees,
And that's why in the past, we
Well, but we have
bumped
to
it.
consider taxpayers too. It's
we-
not just our
but
employees.
we're still 8.5% behind for 5 years.
8.44.
So is our
Yeah.
taxpayers out there.
That's the real issue.
Yes.
I agree with that. We have to,
retain them, I
We
agree.
have to retain the employees, so we have to have quality employees.
But it has to be
Balance.
a balance,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're just balanced, but
So you wanna see 1.5, 2, 2.5?
Well, anyway,
that.
1.5, 2.5, something like that. You know, going out past 5 and 6, 7.
well, I agree with that, 5, 6, 7.
That,
6, 7 definitely.
that was a useless, that's useless to us.
So why don't we add 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and 3.5?
And you can drop those last 3 for sure.
That way we see, and I think it's important to put the halves on there because it would make kind of a 0.5%, while insufficient to keep up with the cost of living. I recognize that. It still is meaningful to each employee.
Of course, of course. I mean,
I'd say
Start at 1 and take it through 4, by the half, 0.5%.
You can do it real quickly if you kind of want to, you're at 1%. Maybe she has
Get us another one of these. We like
Okay.
this.
I like the.
We like the way you've done it.
Thank you.
So do that.
good job.
Thank you.
Okay. General discussions about wage adjustments.
You don't mind.
I'm looking for the members of the court to talk to me. What are we really thinking about?
I'm thinking 3, maybe 3.5, but you gotta see where the budget numbers fit in.
Yeah, I know, it's hard to look at in isolation.
Right.
I'm thinking more 1, 2.
Well, it's one piece of the puzzle. We need to look at the rest of it. And you're gonna have to do the heavy lifting and see, and go from there.
Well, I'm
Maybe
gonna
you're
plug it in.
zero there, I don't know.
Right. Well, I'm in on everything else that we've talked about.
Okay.
Judge, I do have a comment on that.
Yes, sir.
This is just a comment. I'm not here to request anything or ask for any salary increases. But I've been listening into all the budget requests and all the budget meetings, and y'all have your hands full. But I do want to make this comment, and that is that when you're making these decisions, whether it be for wage increases or wage adjustments, however you want to describe it, is that you need to take in consideration, and I'm sure the HR department and auditor's office can help with this, is an across the board salary survey for all county employees, because when you start adjusting these wages, depending on steps and grades and so on and so forth, and we hear about this throughout the whole year too, is that there becomes a wage disparity amongst your elected officials, your department directors, and so it causes a big gap. And so when those gaps are created, then we start having those people come in and say, okay, well, now we got this employee making more than what the elected official's making, or more than what the department director's making. So just something to think about, just when you're making these decisions and you're looking at it, look at it with the big picture in place, also taking in consideration, our taxpayers out there, and I'm one of them. So, but anyways, just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
I think Paul makes a good point on the salary, or look at our system, and also I think I hope that next year, I'm looking at Mr. Pace, he's on the committee with me right now, to really look at our 7th grade system and see if we can really make some big changes to that, and I think a outside company would help. But the last survey we did was right in the middle of COVID, and it was, in retrospect, a bad time to do it. It didn't go real well, and I would recommend, putting somewhere in the budget a good $50,000 versus that with those unintended costs, because I think we really need to look at it again.
Well, just so the court knows, the auditor and I have talked about it. It's not something we can get ready for this budget.
No, not for this budget.
That's something that we have to do
Sure.
for next year.
Next year. But, the discussions that the committee's been working on, looking at this can continue and come up with a recommendation, and at the same time, start with this
Before you
survey.
leave. You're not getting off the hook.
Okay. Anything on these wage adjustment or salaries?
Kelly's looking for.
I have something. I don't know if this has already been considered, but the current fiscal year that we're in, last year, I allowed the court to freeze 3 road maintenance type positions and also gave the special projects proposed $650,000 back. I would like to get those 3 positions unfrozen. They were not budgeted for this year. There's a placeholder for them, but they would need that. We figured it out. It was $186,790.11, and that should be with the roll-ups.
What was it?
And $186,790.11.
Okay. Thank you.
5 minutes for Arthur.
I don't think Arthur can go in 5 minutes.
I think we all understand how much is available in ARPA. And the interest will certainly be an added bonus, but it's a matter of all the things, the requests that have been made and whether they're factored into your budget. I don't really care if I get ARPA funds for anything that I've asked for or not. It's just,
May I
where does it fit into the budget?
Yes, ma'am.
You got 5 minutes.
I will take.
Only 2.
I will take that full 5 minutes to the fullest extent that I can. I have brought this to the court, this will be the 3rd time, to try to sternly encourage you to look at this information because we are coming to a point where we really do need to make decisions on this ARPA funding and make the time to sit down and look at it. I have showed you, I've made a couple of charts for you to see where we have currently spent the money and it's been allocated. And it also shows on there what the requests are that we have for the remaining requests. But will you go ahead and put up that first chart one? Just as a brief overview so that the public and that you can see it in this 5 minutes. This pie chart here shows where the funds have been spent. This is based on the last GrantWorks. These numbers are based on the last GrantWorks report, which was dated June 4th. We'll probably be getting another one soon, so if I come forward before the court again, I will need to update these numbers. And then in the chart below, it shows what is being requested. But if you look in here, so far, the largest percent is going towards the communication system, as you all know. And then the remaining portion is the colorful little part of that. We're going to have chart 2. It then shows you where we have allocated this so far to the Veterans Pathway, the KCSO emergency responders, new hires, admin services, road and bridge and KCSO, retention, VA pathway. There was an ice storm closure, and then it shows also what we have not yet obligated. So right now, give or take, we're around 323,869, so 324,000 approximately. The requests that we have for these come out to 1.1 million. So we're a little bit off, not a little bit, we're quite a bit over, But the proposed projects are for the ACOG ART transportation system. What that would be is basically our portion of a match towards a public transportation system in conjunction with ACOG and the City of Kerrville. You do have your ag barn stuff in there that we have put as an option for the roof insulation and electrical for consideration, which you heard about that from Commissioner Paces earlier. I do have listed the fire system devices for maintenance for $14,000. I have that included in here because it's not yet in the report, but it is something that the court has pretty much just already confirmed. Then the treasurer has their Chronos system, which is their time sheet program, I believe. Tech share between the county attorney and the 216th district attorney. The mobile computers for the sheriff's office is requesting money for mobile computers for their vehicles, and then Also, the information technology IT for that Microsoft Office 360 that Corey was speaking about earlier, that we were going to try to implement, he said, in early spring. So that's just a brief overview of the current proposed projects for you to consider. There's an overview of where we have spent the money and where it has gone, and I can be a lot more specific on any of those if you would like for me to. I've also included some information for each of these specific requests for your review as well. If you could at some point please allow me to put it on the agenda to start making some decisions, please.
Quickly.
The tech share, you said only 216 in county attorney's office, but I know that 198 PA's on board now as well. I don't know if y'all have gotten a letter.
I have not heard anything, but I can reach out to him or he can reach out to me, and that would probably change the amount.
Yes.
Good. That's good.
Yes.
So that would adjust the amounts by some, I'm assuming, so I can try to get that information to you as well, as soon as I.
Just update that, including the 198.
You got it.
The more users,
That increases.
you pay by user. I'm assuming.
It's by prosecutor, yes, sir.
And his office doesn't have as many users, so it wouldn't be a third of the job.
Originally, it seems like y'all said it'd be like 90 if he was included.
That sounds about right, because he is also going to want
It
to
jumped from
do
70
the
to 90.
data migration. He's also going to want to do that, so
Yeah.
that's something that he would.
I think the 90s or something like that.
There was only 3 of us. Yeah.
Well, I have a separate meeting with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
To me, I just take the ag barn out of consideration.
And also, just as a reminder as well,
And then just look at fire system devices, Chronos, TechShare, mobile computers, and Office 360. That is slightly higher, but those
If
are all
you-
things I think we can get done and obligated before the end of the year, which is key to this.
if you take out the ag barn, you're at
I'll
$555,800.
take out unfortunately, the art thing too. Take out that 200 and all the ag barn, and you're at 356.
355,800.
Yeah.
Pretty getting close.
Yeah,
So
that checks a lot
to
of
me,
boxes.
that's the stuff that you ought to focus on.
Makes
for
sense.
ARPA. I'm not saying anything about whether you do anything else or not.
And then there's still
But to
a
commit
little
to
bit of
ARPA funds
interest
before
left
the end of the
in
year,
here, right?
I would focus on those.
There's interest left, and
Plus there's
there are projects that y'all obligated that will not spend 100%.
Let's do it again.
So
Let's
it's a
do
little
it
bigger
again.
than that,
Yeah.
probably.
And just as a reminder, on that report I gave you for GrantWorks' most recent report, it has your estimated budget, your total obligations, and remaining amount to obligate. On these, the expenditures and let me look at this, I'm sorry. Some of these are completed projects, so it's different. Your estimated budget, your total obligations are going to be the same, but sometimes your expenditures, we need to expend that money for those salary positions and stuff by the end of this year,
This fiscal year?
this
Calendar.
December, this calendar year. Or possibly, I think they're looking into, there's a possibility that we have other options to be able to keep those funds as earmarked here, but it's going back and forth. That might have changed since last report, because I've already forgotten.
Okay, we've reached the witching hours, 10:30. Gary's already left, I know he needs to go. Is there anything else that we need to take up this time? We can revisit a lot of things we didn't get to. Just trying to honor everyone's time.
You have an agenda item next Monday.
So with that, we stand adjourned.